So the crypto market is set to have a very volatile week as tensions between Russia and Ukraine are escalating very quickly. Today's video, I wanted to take a minute to talk about everything you need to know in terms of technical indicators as well as macro events if you're a crypto investor. And if you appreciate that, well, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also make sure to follow me on Twitter where I post updates before they come on YouTube. Anyways, let's look at technical indicators first with Bitcoin's chart. When we look at the overall market in terms of technical indicators, it doesn't look too great. Bitcoin's price was rejected at $40,000 per coin, which was right around the 50-day simple moving average as well. You can see 50-day simple moving average in blue. We were rejected at that as well as that $40,000 per coin range. Not a great sign in terms of technicals. In addition to this, right now, what we're going to keep an eye out in terms of Bitcoin's price movements is going to be that $36,000 per coin support. That has acted as a key support over the last couple of weeks for Bitcoin, so we'll keep an eye out on this. If we drop below it, we very well could see a retest of around $30,000 per coin. So keep an eye out on this as we're going to see very volatile movements depending on what is going on with relations and all the invasions in Russia and Ukraine. One thing that we're going to keep an eye out in particular is that Vladimir Putin just put nuclear forces in Russia on high alert, potentially signaling that they're going to be taking a more aggressive stance over the coming weeks. And this is something that could have big impacts on markets all around the world, not just crypto, but in stock market, in the US, in Europe, in Asia. This can have impacts on markets worldwide. So keep an eye out on how this continues to escalate over the coming days. Hopefully, we can see tensions ease up a bit, but if they get worse, this could have some big impacts on crypto, which we'll talk about a little later. Next thing I want to talk about, though, is going to be where we're seeing potentially good news for crypto. I wanted to quickly interrupt today's video to bring you a word from our brand new channel partner, AQRU. AQRU makes it simple to buy or transfer cryptocurrency whilst earning annual interest of up to 12% on what you invest. And the cool thing about this platform, in my opinion, is that right now one of the biggest problems in the staking industry is many platforms are extremely complicated, unsafe, and really way too difficult to figure out. So with AQRU, it's a very trusted platform. The project is fully insured for up to $30 million against hacking, and earning interest in the crypto investment space just becomes a lot simpler with this transparent platform. The things that I like most and why I've personally tested it with my own funds as of recently is that it simplifies the process. It gives you the stated percentage on the full value of your investment. They pay interest out daily, and you choose how much you want to deposit. You can withdraw your funds instantly in crypto or cash, and really they just are very transparent, make it very easy and simple to use. AQRU seems very interesting. I've tested it with my own funds, used it multiple times, and I think it's definitely worth checking out if you like to earn passive income on your crypto holdings. So use the link in the description, check out AQRU today, and they have it available on web, iOS, Android, and a lot of different ways you can earn passive interest on your crypto. So check it out, and let's get back to the program. Coming out of all of these issues with Russia and Ukraine. And one of this is that the Ukrainian government recently started accepting Bitcoin, Ethereum, and USDT donations, and they posted this on their Twitter page just on February 26, 2022. And the important thing here is that we've already seen $17.2 million in crypto donations to the Ukrainian government and non-governmental organizations since the start of the invasion. And this has been growing exponentially. We can look at this article on elliptic.co, which talks about all the specific numbers and each day breaks it down. But the important thing here is that we have seen over 13,000 donations specifically to the Ukrainian government. And the other thing that I find very interesting is that we're seeing the Ukrainian government turn towards crypto rather than a fiat currency when in a time of panic and in a time of war. They're turning towards crypto rather than a fiat currency. And this is something that we would not have seen just a couple of years ago. If you had said that two countries went to war and they're asking for crypto donations, I don't think anyone would have believed you. But now this is something that is much more common. It shows us that crypto has a place here, and countries, governments, businesses are realizing its value. And this, in my opinion, is great news for crypto because it shows us that this is just the beginning. One country is asking for donations in crypto rather than any fiat currency. That is a big deal. And I think this shows us that we're just at the beginning, a key turning point in the adoption of crypto. Next thing I want to talk about is going to be another thing with technical indicators, and that's going to be Bitcoin active supply. What we could see is that percent of supply that was active within the last year has continued. That was inactive over the last year has continued to increase. So right now, 61.7% of the Bitcoin supply has not moved in the last year. So it has been inactive. It hasn't left any wallets. And this is important because only 3 months ago, this percentage was at 54.5%. And this shows us that even with all of this negative sentiment coming out of the market, even with prices dropping, people are continuing to hold their positions because they believe in Bitcoin long term. We would have seen this number drop if people were getting out of the market, if new investors were getting out of the market, because you got to remember, this is the amount of Bitcoin that was not moved in the last year. So if you had already held it for a year, let's say from 2019 to 2020, it wouldn't have affected this number. This is that new investors are getting into crypto and holding long term. That is why we're seeing this percentage continue to increase. The cool thing about this, though, is that when we look at historical patterns, last time when we saw this high of a level of Bitcoin supply that really had not moved in at least a year, it was right at the bottom of the market before we saw a rally from $10,000 per coin all the way up to $40,000 per coin. So this is going to be something to keep an eye out on because this potentially is signaling that the bottom of the market is in, that we're seeing the percent of supply last active 1 or more years ago, reaching all-time highs. And every time that has happened, that has indicated the bottom of the market. So keep an eye out on this level over the coming days and really coming weeks. Last couple things I want to talk about is going to be one thing that is really big news for crypto as well, coming out of these issues in Russia and Ukraine. And that is that the US, EU, they've pledged to remove selected Russian banks from SWIFT network. And I talked about this on Twitter the other day, saying how this was a very big deal for crypto because what it shows us is that maybe when countries are in war, maybe when countries are struggling with international relations, when they can't use SWIFT messaging system for sending payments internationally for banks, well, what alternative do they have? If they can't use banks, they're going to have to use cryptocurrency. And I think this could potentially pour billions of dollars into the crypto space as a lot of Russian banks are not going to be able to use this SWIFT messaging system. If you're not familiar, SWIFT messaging system was made in like the 1970s, 1980s, and it's a messaging system for transacting between banks. So we'll see what happens, but this really is removing Russia from the international financial system. It's going to harm their ability to operate globally, and they may turn to crypto as a way to make payments, a way to operate globally and internationally for making payments. So we'll see what happens there, but this, I think, shows us limitations of traditional finance and shows us potential upsides of the crypto market. Last thing I want to go over is going to be what is going on with realized losses. When we look at the realized losses and on-chain analysis, what we're seeing is a very eerily similar pattern to what happened just about a year ago. And what we see is that in the summer of 2021, just about a year ago, we saw that realized losses for Bitcoin looked nearly identical to what they do now. This is right when, like July 2021, when Bitcoin's price hit $28,000 per coin and then went on to rally to over $69,000 per coin. When you look at these charts, they're nearly identical in terms of the exact same patterns in terms of realized losses. You can see right here. And this, again, could potentially indicate that we're at the bottom of the market. These realized losses coupled with what was going on with the percent of supply last active 1 or more years ago all indicate that we are at the bottom of the market. Obviously, tensions between Russia and Ukraine are going to cause a lot of volatility, but I'm going to keep an eye out on this over the coming days because tensions between Russia and Ukraine could potentially have positive impacts on the market, maybe not this week or next week, but long term, as we're seeing like Ukraine turn to crypto. We're seeing Russia get banned out of traditional banking systems and international payments. They might turn to crypto. We might see a lot of countries start using crypto, and at least in some capacity. So keep an eye out on this over the coming days, but expect a lot of volatility in the market. Expect big price movements. This is what we're going to see, not only in crypto, but in stock market over the coming weeks. So let me know your thoughts. Are you bullish? Are you bearish for March 2022 for Bitcoin? But I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya.